Hey, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the 5th webinar in our Associate Member Webinar Series, Design and Manufacture of High-Performance Concrete Batch Plants, presented for us today by BMH Systems. So my name is Camille Richer. I'm the Office Manager with Concrete Ontario, and I will be your facilitator today. We also have Oliver Zhao joining us. He is our Technical Services Engineer and will be helping out with the question and answer periods throughout the presentation. So it's been our pleasure to host these webinar series to give you a chance to learn more about some of the products and services that our associate members provide and the opportunities that they present for the concrete industry. So just before we get started, I'm going to go over a couple housekeeping points. So the webinar will be approximately 40 minutes long with a question and answer period possibly partway through and then at the end, and then followed by a quick Kahoot pop quiz. All of the participants are muted, so if you do have any questions, please use the questions pane on the right-hand side of your webinar screen. And the webinar will be recorded and posted on the Concrete Ontario website along with a PDF copy of the presentation. So I'm going to introduce our presenter for today. We have Harpreet Singh joining us from BMH Systems. He's the Regional Sales Director there. BMH Systems is part of Aztec Industries, Inc. Harpreet has been with BMH Systems for 4 years and has spent 17 years in the heavy building materials industry as a whole. Within the 17 years, 13 were with St. Mary's Cement, 3 years in cement, 7 in ready mix, and 3 in aggregates. He has held various positions in the industry, including project management, operations, maintenance, and leadership roles. Thank you so much for joining us, Harpreet, today. And I'm going to hand over the controls to you at this point so we can get started with your presentation.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And just want to start off by telling everybody I only had to pay Camille $100 for that intro. So it went well, well worth it. So again, you know what? Thank you for joining us. I know your time is important. You're giving us 1 hour today, and you've attended some other seminars before here with Concrete Ontario. So thanks to Concrete Ontario for putting these on. I think they're very helpful with everything going on today with COVID and everything we're dealing with. So these are nice ways for us to communicate and pass some information along. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody joining on. You know, typically we wait till the end for questions and comments. So if you, there is a chat function on this. If you want, please feel free to type up a question now or during the presentation. I wouldn't mind addressing them as we're going. I have a feeling I'm going to be long-winded, so I want to try to address everything that I can as you think of it, or if you've already come in with some questions. So, you know, we're going to talk concrete batch plants today. During this presentation, the slides, I thought to myself, you know, we generally skip the basics and we go into a lot of details. So I'm going to try to be very basic with this presentation. I'm hoping that some of the attendees here are people that are new and want to learn what the options are out there. So I hope you find this useful. And anybody that's very well versed in this category, you know, hopefully you take away something. So let's move through the slides. Camille, is that? There it is. Okay. All right. So agenda-wise, we'll give you a little bit of a BMH corporate overview. Obviously, I'll tell you a little bit more about BMH. A few of you might be aware of us, you know, well, and some of you might be new to the name. So I'll tell you more about us. I'll talk a little bit about the evolution of concrete batch plants, and you know, if somebody is in the market for one, where do you start? I'll talk a little bit about where you should start, and use some of my past experience to tell you some of the issues that I saw that become pretty big if you're not dealing with them right off the bat. We'll run through the options you have today. There's you know, the dry batch plants, central mix, retrofitting as an option. And then obviously not, you know, last but least, but the mobile batch plants. You know, I'm going to spend a little bit more time on that because I think it's important. And then we'll discuss some other considerations that, you know, should be in place, and some trends that I've seen the last few years in my travel within Canada. You know, where's this industry going, and what you could possibly look at to take advantage of. So just quickly on BMH Systems, we were founded in 1979, so we're in business 41 years. And head office is located in Quebec, Canada. Our manufacturing facility, as you can see here, is also in Quebec, Canada. All of our manufacturing for the BMH product line happens there, with an exception of maybe one or two things. And then for projects, we've done 400 plus, and I think that number is a lot bigger. I've been using 400 plus for probably a year or so now. So, probably closer to 450 batch plants in North America. We're at 1,000 plus projects across the globe. We recently put up a big central mix plant in Australia, and so right across the globe in that sense. Specializing in equipment and ready mix industry, and obviously that's what we're here talking about today. But we're also very, very big in mining, infrastructure, and bagging plant industries. And I know COVID hit everybody pretty hard. Funny enough, exciting news for us in 2020. During that time, we got acquired by Aztec Industries out of the US. So we are now actually under the One Aztec name brand, and it's almost amazing to see that Aztec owns Rexcon, a pretty big plant manufacturer out of US, Conoco, a huge manufacturer out of US, and also, all three product lines are under the One Aztec concrete side of the sector. So pretty amazing news on our side for, with all the bad news in 2020, this was really, really good to hear and really good to see. So just, that's a small overview of who we are. You can find us obviously on our website. I urge you, not as a sales thing, but more so as if you're looking at information about plants and you want to learn a little bit more, honestly, that website is great. It's got a lot of options on showing you the different type of plants, just walking you through what a plant could look like. So it's a very informative website. We're pretty active on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, but BMH, along with Aztec, now we have an entire marketing staff that's very active on LinkedIn. And YouTube, I'm surprised, but if you type in BMH Systems in the YouTube search, you'll come across some really good and informative videos that I think I'll play a couple of them here today. So, and then associations quickly, obviously we're very active throughout Canada and the shows that we do various times of the year. And obviously now moving forward, we'll be doing that with Aztec behind us. So past projects, just wanted to touch on two, I think, that really highlight the strength of where the concrete industry can shine and where BMH has really showed their superior strength. This Hibernia, as it's referred to as an oil drilling platform in Newfoundland, there's a really cool video on Google time lapse of this whole project being constructed. I'd urge you to go see it. It's amazing to see start to finish how this thing was built, but we were lucky enough to be a part of it. I don't know if everybody can see, but those are the two BMH plants right there. So pretty amazing to look at that big piece of equipment there, and we were a little part of it, but a pretty important part of it. And then I think we did a good enough job that we were invited to the second platform out that way again, quite a few years later. But this one here, I apologize, the screen got cut off on the last one, but equipment-wise, you can see what we had to supply to do these projects. So we're talking 1,800 tons or 1,633 metric tons of cement storage, along with some fly ash and silica storage. Aggregate storage was about 850 metric tons, and then everything else that went along with it. And it was pretty neat to see, but these plants actually came back up in the market through the used side the last few years. So pretty neat to see equipment, still living and still doing pretty well out there for what we built years ago. So that's, I'll maybe walk you through a few more recent projects in the next couple of slides, but let's discuss challenges. You know, as we, if you're looking to put up a plant, or you know, you have a plant currently, you're thinking, what's the next steps? What should I do? You know, we're all going to face these challenges, right? And we've been facing some of these for quite a few years, but they're becoming bigger and bigger. And again, there's no format here. It's not like the top one is number one and so on and so on. But you know, really, that not in my backyard. That's a huge challenge. We all face it. We all have, we're cities and people are moving in, and we're being driven out a little bit. So I'll show you some solution to that. It's not 100%, but you know, it is something that can combat that a little bit. Delivery of material to our sites and to our customers. You know, even with COVID right now, when you travel, I forget every time I leave this home office and I hit the road, I realize how many people are still out there getting to work and getting things done. And that, you know, you can imagine how, you know, bad that was for deliveries when everything was open. So we'll, you know, maybe through the next few slides, we'll address that a little bit. Big jobs that are, you know, maybe your current facility may not be able to handle. Like, you just can't do enough meterage per hour or for the day. You already have enough work, and taking on additional with that current facility may not be possible. Remote work, that's huge. You know, we're located in one area, but the work that we might go after or can get might be 4 or 5 hours away or in a different location. So how do you combat that? Labor is a huge one. Again, you know, in a lot of ways, this could be number one. But just drivers and plant personnel shortage. I couldn't give you, you know, more people, but maybe we could do something through equipment to help that a little bit. And then concrete recycling, we've been battling that as an industry for a while. There are solutions out there for some. And then year-round operation. You know, maybe you're operating only in the summer at the moment, and looking to see what you can do to operate throughout. So hopefully we'll address some of these. And you know, the bigger challenge that I did leave out, I'll be honest, is safety. I think that, to me, always has been the number one on my list. But I could probably talk for more than an hour just on safety itself when it comes to the plants and the things you can do. So we'll leave that big topic for another time. Just for giggles, wanted to throw this slide in. I probably, these are stock images off the internet at the top there, but I've seen probably 2 of those in my life, in my 17 years, maybe not the third one there at the top, but I have seen the other 2 or similar plants to those. So, and you can see the 4 below and where this industry is going and has gone. Pretty amazing to see what our plants can look like today. I'm a huge fan of the square rectangular design, and but you know, it really does take that concrete plant look away that we're used to. You can see in the 4th image, we did use some round silos, but in the other 3, you know, it really gives you that more of a factory look than a concrete plant maybe. So you know, the not in my backyard, there are designs today that you can do that would address some of that, where you're not, and I'm not gonna, you know, to me, I think concrete plants are beautiful, but you know, to the eyesore side of things, for not in my backyard, maybe we can spruce them up a little bit and make them look less concrete plant-like. So yeah. So, you know, determine what you need. It's not an easy process to go through. We're not talking, you know, it's a very resource extensive exercise to get in the concrete business or improve your business or grow your business. So you know, how do I start? Where do I start? And I have these conversations all the time, so I thought maybe I'd put a little bit of a list together. And again, there's only the points I thought that were worth mentioning quickly today, but this list is a lot longer than what you see here. But what are my requirements? Go through the production rates you're dealing with, and that's not just what you want to do out of that plant annually, but more so what type of trucks do you have? How many meters each batch can they handle as per your region and as per the trucks you have? So what's the batch size you need? Production rate per hour, production rate for the day, and then go monthly and annually and figure out those rates. And you may end up finding out that your morning, you need a rate of 150 or 180 meters an hour, but throughout the rest of the day you're at 100 meters an hour. So those are the things you need to look at, and of course that's going to lead you to your budget. That's huge. It's you want that plant to be designed for what you're looking for and what you're able to do, and specifically what you need it for. And of course, the budget will determine some of that as well. So look at your budget. Site restrictions, again, with the not in my backyard, these are changing big time. So you go through that, get the right people involved to discuss what are my restrictions. One of the worst things you can do is, for example, put up a 100-foot silo and find out that there's an airport in the area that has a height restriction, and you're limited to 80 or 70. So figure those things out with site restrictions. You might be in an odd shaped lot that only fits a certain type of plant, and so you get to know that off the bat. Preferences, go through the preferences of what you prefer. I can walk in the door and say, hey, here's a central mix plant, but if you're not central mix plant type of a company or person, then go back to that preference side and see what what you specifically want for that facility. And then the type of work you're going after, which areas you're going to hit. Is it a downtown market? Is it more of a remote job type of market? So where is that work, and what type of work is it? So a lot of et ceteras there, and this list is quite extensive, but these are some of the things to look at. Do I need a new plant? It sounds hilarious for a rep to be telling you, to consider that. But the thing is, your existing facility could be an opportunity to retrofit. You can truly work with, a manufacturer or company and say, hey, can I retrofit this instead of putting in a brand new facility? Can I get more production out of it? So we'll touch a little bit on that on a slide. And then can I add a mobile plant on the site? So, can I do the extra work that I need to maybe a mobile plant? Could I maybe take the current plant down and do the big re, but use a mobile plant so I'm not suffering on the production side of things? So we'll look at mobile plants a little bit more. And how big of a plant do I need? What storage? There are unlimited, and unlimited is the wrong word, but countless options of what you can do with storage. It could be that because of traffic and other issues, you're not getting deliveries often enough. So, how much cement storage, how much aggregate storage do you need in the plant and on site? So that's huge. Determine that. Do I need to go dry batch or central mix? This is a big one, and I'll show you both a little bit and talk about pluses and minuses. Do I prefer low profile design or gravity feed? So this on another slide, I'll walk you through the differences, a couple of the differences, but this is a good decision to be made when you're determining a need. Do I need just the equipment, or will I need other assistance? Am I looking for just somebody to supply me the plant itself, or do I need installation, startup, supervision, possibly, training? So what else do I need? What else do I need to accomplish before I can produce concrete? Will I operate in the winter? So again, if you're a summer only operation, there's a different budget. And if you're going to be a winter operation, you're going to have a different budget on that as well. So, or maybe you're retrofitting your current facility from a summer operation over to a year round. So some of the things to look at. And then when you have that information and you feel pretty comfortable on, the type of producer you will be, the next steps are I've spent that first detail site requirements and restrictions. I've gone through the permitting in the past and spent countless days working with the city on approvals and things like that. And sometimes you find yourself going back for revision, S or P in your drawings and stuff like that. So really, detailed site requirements or restrictions, get a handle on those, get the right people involved, and figure out your permitting and zoning. Footprint, height, and other space restrictions. Again, that example I gave you, figure out whether there are height restrictions in the area, how far you have to stay away from your fences and things like that, the footprint you're working with. That will determine the size of plant that you can put into a site, and or how high or wide you can go with the plant. So very important. The traffic flow is huge. You get a lot of moving equipment through that site, so determine that right off the bat. We like building a traffic flow diagram that shows that together with the client. So make sure you do that. That's important to get a good handle on how everything's going to flow through that site. Noise, dust, other environmental issues, obviously being addressed with the points up ahead or above. Budgeting, again, this is going to determine what you can spend and where you will spend that. So budget all your everything that you have to bring in, especially if it's a green field site. You got to bring in your water, hydro, and gas, and all your services, and obviously dealing with stormwater management and other issues. So budget, work on that budget, and make sure you go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Get all your costs together, and then obviously work with the right consulting engineering teams for your permitting applications, etc., leading to your contracts, right? And figure out whether you're only a material only need or whether you need turnkey, and ask questions about the after sales service and the maintenance services that may be available as well that are part of your steps. So the gravity versus low profile, I've discussed this various times through a new plant discussion, and there are quite a few misconceptions, and this is just to give you the small few points on this. Here are two plants, two different plants, and one's a gravity at the top and the other is low profile design. And the big difference, obviously, as you can see, is all your aggregates and cement are here, and then obviously the conveyor, the main incline, goes down to where it gets fed by your aggregate hopper, whereas here your aggregates are separated up into your cement and over to your possibly a central mixer or to your low point. So two different designs. Total length, if you look at that, we're off maybe a foot there, right, or a foot and more. So we're not gaining in space. Yes, the low profile will work in quite a few different sites because you can angle it whichever way, but you can also angle the gravity somewhat to give you that. But the bigger difference is that horsepower, right? Because you're minusing out all your things like your auger, because your cements are all gravity feeding down, your augers are being minused off, and your conveyor that you're losing under the transfer under your aggregate bin, so the aggregate transfer conveyor, there's another gain there. So almost 75 horsepower in this example, but again, that's not always the factor. I just wanted to show this as I see this a lot, where people say no, I only prefer low profile, or I only prefer gravity. So there's a reason to go with both, and but in a lot of ways you're not gaining space. So I hope space is never the reason you stick with one or the other. Odd sites, I definitely think we can make one plant work better than the other, but really the savings are possibly on your overall usage of your motors and maintenance on some of your mechanical items. So a little bit on dry batch plants. When I started in this industry, if we had a 100-meter a day, 100-meter an hour a day, it was high fives all around, and we were all happy because our 70-meter an hour plant or 80-meter an hour plant did 100 meters an hour. To an industry that now, if you're getting less than 135, 140 meters an hour out of a new plant, something's not right. And yes, operations plays a big key in a role in this. How fast can you get it in there? How much your trucks can handle, and many other factors. But the plant itself shouldn't let you down when it comes to your production rate, especially today. So huge change in the industry on smaller plants doing lots of meterages, and we'll walk through some of that in the next few slides. But just wanted to show you that dry batch plants do not mean less production by any means. Yes, central mixes do produce faster and possibly more, but dry batch plants can produce quite a bit of concrete out the door. Yeah. By standard, right? That's the good thing with dry batch plants. You will get standard designs that you can work with. This is one of the trends I've listed, and I'll talk more about it, but really the trend is going to smaller footprints just because of the space limit. Big production plants, even though they're small footprints, taking out the aggregate handling system in itself saves you quite a bit of room. So, our standard design now has changed to where it's just an aggregate handling or aggregate bin feeding up to a load point with a silo or silos for cement. So, by standard, and you get a pretty good producing plant in a low profile and very compact design. And of course, now you can custom tailor if you really wanted to. So, here's the same plant I showed you in the previous slide, but more cements with the rectangular design, and obviously the 2 conveyors feeding your 4 bins up top with the 2 hoppers at the back for the loader feed. So faster, more storage. So dry batch, definitely not anything negative when it comes to dry batch plants. Majority of the plants operating in Ontario, and I probably could have put Canada on here, but especially Ontario today are dry batches. That's what we see. A lot of our older, 20, 30-year-old, 40-year-old plants out there are all dry batch plants. Some are central, but most cases you find dry out there. Typically a simple and versatile design and function. Very, very simple to operate. And of course you can build. Concrete is mixed using the mixing action of your truck mixer, obviously, in a dry batch. Some of the pros, I do think they're cost effective in the overall dry batch, wet batch argument. Simpler design. Again, that's depends on the need, but we can definitely go bigger and a lot more storage. Smaller footprint, again, you can start off with a lot smaller footprint with a dry batch plant. Less power requirements, production rates. Yeah, they're limited. They did, especially compared to a central mix, but again, depends on your need. Lesser maintenance. Obviously, the central part of it would be a little bit more, but very similar. Otherwise, can be customized for storage, speed, etc. Possible cons, still require foundations, obviously, and that's comparing it to a mobile type plant. Permitting process, you still, obviously site plan approvals, very region dependent, but maybe with the mobile side, you might get away with some of that, or at least have an easier permitting process, depending on. So training, very important for drivers. Obviously, drivers play a huge role in the delivery of the concrete to your end user. So the training for plant personnel and drivers, very important. Somewhat older tech, I had to put that in there because central mixes are improving today, and there's various models and configurations available in the central side. But still, I mean, today a dry batch today is it's many ways different than what you would have seen 20 years ago or 10 years ago even. So possible quality issues due to variance in process. Obviously, there is human error that could be involved in here, just with all the hands that have to touch to make our concrete and get it out. So, if you go this route, some of the decisions you should look at are how do you want to load that plant. I talked about loading it straight to the bins and keeping that footprint small? Or, do I need a conveyor or a stacker or one hopper or four hoppers at the back? So how do I want to load that? Or do I want drive overs? So another new trend that we're seeing. We'll talk about that. How many and how much of aggregates and cement do I need? What are you producing? Who you're producing for? So figure out how many cements you need to start with. Cement is a lot easier to add on to a plant than aggregates. Unfortunately, it's a lot more difficult to just add an extra aggregate to your plant. Not impossible, but not preferable. How much do I want to produce per hour, per day, per year? What is my budget, and what is a need and what is a want? So figure out, what would be nice to have, but you possibly don't need to spend money on. Use that money effectively, maybe to give you bigger aggregate storage or bigger cement storage. So play around with the different parts of the plant, and maybe eliminate equipment that you may never find use from. So, and I have to show you our newest one that we did. This is Mccann Ready Mix in Watford. They're a brand new plant that's operating now, but this is really, shows you where dry batch plants have gone. They went with 3 cements in the rectangular design, obviously, and 5 aggregates that are being fed straight from a loading ramp at the back, right here at the bottom, you can see, and beautiful storage there with roll-up doors, so the heat and everything remains in. And one with an enclosed unit of heating, so that entire building and all your aggregates and cement, or not the cement, sorry, but your aggregates and your aggregate piles, everything is fed or heated from the one unit. So definitely a state-of-the-art plant that went up recently. So moving on to central mix plants, huge numbers there. Obviously the gravity and the low profile in front of you, and then a mid-sized plant. So wanted to put that on here. This is actually a cutoff from my website, but just want to show you that just because it's a central mix doesn't mean it's only for high production. There are many other reasons to go a central mix. We have an entire ROI sheet we put together just to review that, because it was something that even I was under the misunderstanding of, that you only went to a central if you really wanted high production. That's not necessarily the case. There are many other reasons. Probably a separate discussion, but the reality is there are many other reasons to go to a central mix for your type of work. So more and more in Ontario, definitely starting to see a desire or a reason, or people starting to go that way in discussions. More complex in design and operation, a little bit, not completely, but they are. Concrete is mixed using obviously the mixing action of a central mixer incorporated in the plant design, and it allows for both wet and dry. So don't think you only have to produce wet with a central mix plant. Plants should be able to give you both wet and dry options. So pros, obviously more uniform production with positive effects on your quality. Speed, definitely a pro. So if you want to go paving type application, or applications where you require lots of concrete pretty fast, yes, it's the way to go. Less driver involvement. There are some savings there to talk about. Sizable time savings per load, referring to that one above. Other cost savings for your return on investment. Possible cons, cost, yes, it definitely does cost more. Bigger footprint, foundations, power requirements, things like that. Permitting process, again, same as your dry batch plants. Maintenance and overall operation. Training required for efficient production, because if you're not familiar with it or you're new to it, you do require some training. Not hard to do, but just to start off. And of course, similar decisions to your dry batch plant design, but how do you want to load the aggregates here? Really not the straight to bins as an option, but more so possibly drive overs, how many, possibly loader fed, and even maybe redundancy in your incline conveyors going up, just because of the high production. If one goes down, you have another one to fall back on. How many and how much of aggregates and cement? Again, you have more of a need because of your production. How much do you want to produce? Again, with Central, it's not just big numbers. You can use it for medium production. Do I want gravity feed or low profiles? Very important in this design. What is my budget? Budget can vary on this vastly. What type of work am I going after, and what type of mixing technology do I prefer? That's a huge one. So, when we look at mixers, typically, this is not, this doesn't encompass everything, but these are the three. So HRMs, we have our Rollmaster that falls under that. So you can buy them in various sizes. That's an option. And then twin shaft, that's an option as well. Heavily used in the mining industry, obviously, but definitely starting to see more and more on the ready mix side. Tilt, I said widely used in the US because that is what I see a lot more in the US side. In Canada, typically I'm seeing more of the HRM or twin shaft option. Not that there aren't any tilts, there are, but definitely the more of the top two. And London, Ontario, we have our plant there with Dutch Brothers. This plant, as you can see in the bottom right, I was mentioning dry and wet. There's a plant that's got 2 low points. So it gives you the option of on a slower day or a day where you're maintaining your mixer to produce your dry and only have the dry operating and, keep the wet in operation for the busy days. Very nice looking plant. You can see it's a gravity design on this, and with 2 drive overs at the back. So shout out to London, Ontario Dutch Brothers there. And I discussed this on the slide there, right? Retrofit options. Don't throw that away as an option. Your current facility, depending on your budget, can be very much upgraded. So like I said, the aggregate side is a bit harder to do. It's typically easier to replace an aggregate bin and maybe a bigger scale below if you're under the 9 cubic meters an hour or 9 cubic meter batch. Cement, easier to add. Load points, we can change the load point quite easily. I've changed dry batches over to wet batches. And I think I have a photo of one of the projects I was part of back in 05 with a previous company. So definitely an option that's been around for years and should always be considered depending on your current facility and how much it would take to get it up to running. So, simple. Just to repair, replace paint. Sometimes that could be as easy as getting up to par. But adding on storage is typically what you hear a lot of people talk about. Adding a cement or two or more cement and aggregates. Possibly going to a 4-bin aggregate instead of a 3, bigger storage. Making additions to speed up the plant. There are many things that can be done. With the size of conveyors, water, speeding up a few of those things to get the speed out of the plant that are easier fixes than obviously tearing it all down, putting up a brand new plant. Remove and replace sections, and again, aggregate section, that's a big one there. Winterize, so we run into plants all the time that don't have cladding, don't have insulation, so maybe it's as easy as building an enclosure and enclosing the plant and getting it ready for multiple seasons instead of just this summertime. Turning a dry batch into central. I think that's, I feel like we're gonna see that more and more as time goes on. So that's a huge one to consider. Pros and cons quickly, obviously cost effective, permits, you could have an easier time depending on what you're doing, where you're doing it. Production and storage gains, year-round operation could be a pro depending on what you're doing. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to skip all of that stuff there, but definitely something to consider. There's a great example of a plant where we actually took the old Rollmaster, which, you know, like I said, in 0405, I was happy enough to put that one in. And recently we actually took that one out and replaced it with a new Rollmaster. So mobile plants, lots of different options on the mobile side, and I think this is huge for our industry. Vast majority of our older plants are considered portable. There's a huge difference between portable and mobile, and it's more personal than anything else. You know, I've had portable plants in the past, and you know, we've seen portable plants. So the mobile line of equipment that you're starting to see is definitely that's true mobility to me. This is typically a load or two with some add-on options, but tear down and put up within a day or 2 days at the most. Dry or wet options in these situations, various sizes for production. But, you know, take advantage of those remote and special jobs. Take the plants anywhere. Like I said, they're mobile, not portable. So set up very easily. Increase production to your existing site possibly. No foundations in a lot of cases now, no cranes, no major installation involved. Possible permitting advantages, obviously, and then special space savings. Of course, cost versus a similar dry batch plant is, you have to compare that. You are paying mobility, some setup and site considerations to take into place, but many cons on this side. And similar list to what I showed you previously, but just figure out what your budget is and what you're trying to produce and what kind of work you're going after. And then I love this example because this is really a mobile plant. And, you know, its limit. This is a 4.5 cubic meter twin shaft feeding from a mobile plant, and quite a few silos there. And that's in a convo barge. So quickly, other considerations. You know, make sure you discuss the full turnkey. You know, if that's what's needed, depending on your expertise. Even assistance in permitting and stuff like that, and project management, startup and commissioning, training. You know, of course, after sales availability and parts availability is key today. I don't think we'll show the videos just because of time, but I did have a couple of videos. But you know, with concrete recycling, the simple washout we see all the time, but the reclaimer side of things, if you need it, is definitely worth a look, because huge improvements on the concrete reclaimer side of things. And yeah, so hopefully we'll touch on it another day. And quickly on the trends, so smaller dry batch plants with aggregate handling without aggregate handling systems is you know what I see a lot more out there. Drive over dumping hoppers, obviously trucks coming in dumping right into the hoppers instead of the loader having to handle it. True mobile plants, like we looked at, more automation, utilization of sensors. This is huge for us. Manual control panels, less and less. You know, I still put them on, but much less than before. Safety, that's, again, I said, you know, massive. So huge advancements in safety when it comes to plants. And plants that produce minimum 120 meters an hour, it's almost like a number now that I see as almost normal. And bigger storage on site. So, of course, traffic issues. That's it. Thank you. I tried to stay on time, so I think I'm okay, Camille.
Yes, you're right on time, actually.
Look at that.
We're really good videos. So when we post the presentation, we can always get those put up so people have the links. I know you mentioned they were available on YouTube, so
perfect. That's great.
We can get people access that way.
Beautiful.
So Oliver, I believe you had some questions.
Yes. Okay. All right. So first question for you, Harpreet. Realizing that every existing plant is unique, what is a typical amount of downtime for a major plant upgrade or retrofit, or should plant, just be building a new plant beside the old one meantime?
Okay, thanks, Oliver. Great question. And again, it's there's a lot more to that, obviously, with permitting and where you're located. But downtime could be almost a weekend to 3 weeks, depending on what you're doing. And I know you probably don't want that answer, but the reality of it is it's dependent on what we're trying to achieve, how bad the situation is currently, and where we have to get it to. And then building right beside, I think that's never a bad option. The mobile plant, having a mobile plant on site and operating, gives you that ability to take your current plant down and repair, replace, or remove. So that's a better option in my head. But building right beside it, we've done that before. Again, permitting and region specific. I hope that answers the
Awesome, great. Thank you, Harpreet. Next question related to mobile plants. So if a producer want to convert the mobile plant to a fixed plant, is that possible? Maybe the time and cost associated to that, just an estimate.
Yeah, so yes, short answer, you can definitely take a mobile plant and make it into a permanent plant. It's done many times before. Obviously, a mobile plant will have to be enclosed for winter, certain things insulated, certain things heat traced. Once you've done that, really you can operate most of the year, if not year round. We do it all the time. It's actually very easy. Cost could definitely vary depending on what kind of insulation and what kind of whether it's year round or 3 seasons. So the short answer is yes, it can be done.
Awesome. Just another follow-up. So for the for a greenfield development, a new plant, what is the typical time you guys need to set up the whole plant in terms of equipment side, not the approval or government approval?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, greenfield. Use 6 weeks as a good good number. There is some contingency in that, but 6 weeks.
Okay, I have a more specific question on aggregate bin size. Is there a practical limit for that?
There is, yes. After about, and I'm probably going to correct myself after, but after about 550, around that mark, maybe 600, you're starting to get into bigger foundations and structure concerns. But I believe around that mark is where we're limited.
Awesome. Another popular question now, very interesting now, regarding carbon capture. I know that you guys are, but I don't think you have mentioned. But the question is, with all the low carbon concrete talk, going on nowadays, are you guys partnering with any of such carbon capture companies? Any options for your plant setup?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mentioned BMH now is Aztec, and I sat through a presentation recently with Carbon Cure. So we are definitely starting to go down that road with Carbon Cure. Probably early right now, but that is something we're working through. Yes.
Awesome. Another specific question regarding admixture fiber addition to the plant. Any new innovations in terms of the plant design for adding fibers, for example?
You know what? No, we do typically leave that to the companies that we're obviously dealing with on site. Not at the moment. We have worked on a few things specific to certain designs and certain customers, but nothing that I could officially get out there at the moment.
Awesome. Thank you, Harpreet. Maybe last question. Since you show quite a few pictures on a few examples locally for Mccann Ready Mix, and also, do you still remember how long did you guys take to build, to set up that plant?
Yes, so Mccann Ready Mix, you know what? Just because we're dealing with another a client, maybe that information we won't go through. I'll leave it at that. Depending on your plant size, the mechanical installation, so without considering electrical, admixtures, plumbing, all of that good stuff that really has to be brought in and plumbed and connected. The mechanical side of things, depending on the plant size, could just be 3 weeks and it could be 6 weeks. So really depends on the size of the plant. And obviously, if everything can be gone in one phase, if there is some of that where there has to be a stoppage, unfortunately, COVID plays into that now. But say there's a trade delay on your end or on an electrical side or something, then it could obviously gain in weeks. But one phase, 3 to 6 weeks, depending on the size.
Awesome, great. Thank you for all the information. I'm sure with proper scheduling time and good communication, the time will be shortened significantly, and you can always optimize on that. Thank you again. I'm going to turn back to Camille for the quiz.
Okay, awesome. Thanks again, Harpreet, for going through those questions for us. So hopefully everyone was paying attention. There was a lot of information in that presentation, and now we're going to move to our Kahoot pop quiz round. So if everybody could please use their smartphone and go to the website on the screen, www.kahoot.it. So this page will allow you to log straight into the game. You don't have to download any apps or anything like that. It'll be quick and easy. From there, you'll see a game pin on the screen shortly, so you can just enter that to enter. You will need to enter your email address so that we know where to send the prize if you win. And you will need to enter a nickname, so please think of your HR department and don't use something you'll regret. The faster you answer each question, as long as it's correct, the more points you will earn. So it's definitely a little bit of a game of speed. And we do also have some Amazon gift cards up for grabs today to help motivate everybody. So first place will be $150, second place $100, and third place $50. Sure, there's something everybody can purchase on Amazon, so hopefully that's a good motivator. So I'm just going to pull up the Kahoot screen here. Okay, everybody, so there is the pin if you want to get that entered, and then we'll start the quiz shortly. Okay, we'll give it just a couple more seconds. If there's anybody else that wants to log in or is in the process of. There we go, we're at 10 players. Okay, one more snuck in there. I was just about to start things. All right, here we go. Okay, so first question, where is the BMH head office located? Okay, just about everybody got that one. And we are starting off with Jeremy in first place. How many years has BMH been in business? Okay, correct answer is 41. A little bit of a mix on that one. And that brings Father Time to first place. Where can I find information about BMH Systems online? All of the above. Oh, and RV is on a bit of a hot streak there, coming up to second. Who recently acquired BMH Systems? Just saying, with as similar as these names are, I thought that was a bit of a mean one, but everybody got it. Aztec Industries, and RV is moved into first. What type of batch plant can be used to produce concrete? All of the above. And no change on the leaderboard. Number 6, what color was the Mccann ready mix plant? And yellow for the win. Okay, Derek's on a hot streak now. For a central mix plant, what type of mixer is used? All of the above. And Father Time is back in first place. What design requires no cement augers? 50-50 chins on this one. Oh, everyone was nice and quick on that one. Oh, and Derek has moved into first place. Which one is a benefit of a dry batch plant versus a central mix plant? All right, smaller footprint. And no change in the standings. Last question, true or false? Mobile and portable plants are the same. Everyone was nice and quick on that one. False is the correct answer. So for our final standings, in third place, we have Jeremy. In second place, we have RV. And in first place, that leaves Derek. Came up from behind there, awesome. And our runners up are Feather Time and Outsider. Oh, great job, everybody. So just to wrap up, our next webinar is going to be on June 17th, same time, 10 a.m. to 11, and we have GCP Applied Technologies joining us, and they will be presenting on conventional concrete with unconventional performance. So we hope to have many of you join us for that. And I would just like to thank everyone for joining us today. We have had some great presentations in this series so far, and it's great to see so many of you are still coming back to learn more about the topics being addressed. I think we are finally starting to see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel as more vaccines continue to become available, and hopefully we start to see some of the pandemic restrictions ease off. But until we can get back to some of our in-person events, which I think everyone very much misses at this point, we do hope that we see you again at our next webinar in June. Stay healthy and safe, everyone. Stay positive, test negative. Have a great day.